Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for joining us out here today. My name is Christian Gaines, and I'm going to share a little bit of what inspired me to come out today and why a lot of my peers are so passionate about making affordable housing a priority in our community. There's currently a social media trend where people share what moment inspired them to care about the Black Lives Matter movement and further social justice. For myself, when I moved to Newton in 2014, that moment was seeing Michael Brown's body lay on the street for 4 hours. Witnessing the grieving and pain Michael Brown's family showed on national television after he was killed shaped me into having a completely new added perspective and fear in my life that I would be the next Michael Brown. I share this to point out that still, like most here, I was not ready, even after that tragedy, to be completely and actively pro-Black Lives Matter. We all waited for a martyr. We waited for an explosive moment to catch our attention, to make us believe and be confident in promoting and saying Black Lives Matter. We waited to see it on video. We waited for the suspect to be unarmed, non-resisting, and face down on the pavement. We waited to hear about the 9/11 call, the 911 call. We waited to hear about his history. We waited for the story to kind of reveal itself so that we could really decide that it was all in unjust ways of detaining Mr. Floyd. So we kind of waited for all those details to emerge just for us to then be visibly disturbed by the national mass killing of Black Americans. And now today, many of us here in our city are waiting for the next George Floyd to then pick up our energy and passion back into this movement. And we can't be waiting for another one. Just as we have waited for another person to die at the hands of police or other forms of systemic racism for Black Lives Matter, we cannot continue waiting to find one moment that's going to radicalize all of us to be for affordable housing. There will never be another moment that's going to ignite a cultural revolution, so now is the time to bring affordable housing into Newton. We fail to recognize all Black Lives Matter through our inaction and silence by enabling a toxic, racist environment to continue evolving and driving out Black students just from my very high school. We fail to recognize all Black Lives Matter as we reopen schools, knowing that achievement gaps will inevitably widen and hostility towards MECO students coming from higher infected areas will cause parents to ignorantly blame them for the eventual outbreak. We fail to recognize all Black Lives Matter as we continue on with our lives, knowing that the median net worth of a Black family in Boston as of 2017 is $8, and when a counterpart white family in Boston net worth is $247,500. We fail to recognize the inequities, the racism, and the continued deepening segregation in our cities that have caused the racial wealth gap. And ultimately, as our community, we can feel somewhat blessed that our healthcare, our city's environment, and lower risk for predisposed chronic illnesses saved so many lives from the COVID-19 pandemic as it has in suburbs across America. But now more than ever, the disparities and the neglect and the reality that one zip code and the color of their Black and brown skin has been proven to determine their chance of survival to this devastating disease. I leave you with this charge to now realize that all Black Lives Matter, and that all Black Lives matter when they are here alive and of course when they tragically pass. And to truly display your solidarity, your anti-racism, and your care for all Black lives, you must not only support affordable housing, but also actively push for the integration of Black and brown families into our community with urgency. We finally became motivated to briefly stand for Black lives when we had a reference point in George Floyd's tragic death. We started to care for Black lives when we see the extremes of unjust violence against Black and brown people. The reference point is incredibly evident in the current 2.1 times greater death rate of Black Americans to COVID, in the current widening of the of wealth and achievement gaps, and in the current overcriminalization and mass incarceration of Black Americans. All of those collectively, and for too long, justify integration into our cities, and we must now, all of us, be the leaders to actually do it right here in our community and beyond. Thank you.